from the south coast of the United Kingdom and currently living with her husband in Lanzarote, Kim is not only an author of a mouth-watering dessert cookbook, she's also a joint owner of the famous and long-standing restaurant in the old town of Puerto de Carmen. Kim's journey took her from working at the hotel reception to management positions, catering, sales and marketing, and even tourism. With such a busy life, one thing was constant: Kim's love for cooking the best cheesecakes in town. Kim admits to having a real sweet tooth, which, apart from a huge dental bill, and together with the comments of her customers, has helped her in the creation of the Cheesecake Chronicles, a delicious compilation of the best cheesecake recipes known to humankind. Welcome to the podcast, Kim.
Thanks, Agata. That was a great intro. Thanks very much. And I'm absolutely delighted to be here. You'll have to forgive me. I've got a bit of a croaky throat. I've been talking a little bit too much lately, I think. I don't know. People who know me will say, I can't believe that of you, Kim, for talking too much. And so please forgive the croakiness. It's not COVID. It's not a cold. It's just a croaky throat.
That's okay. We love your croaky throat. It's all good. All right, Kim, straight to the point. Have you ever Googled yourself?
No, I haven't actually. Oh my God. Can you imagine? Yeah,
Never,
I think
that once.
I think it would probably say something like, "This lady talks too much."
I'll bear that in mind during the podcast. Good. All right. Okay, serious questions though. What is your favorite book ever? And why? Of course, of other authors, not your own.
Yes, of course. Well, I don't get a lot of chance to read books except for when I'm on holiday, to be very truthful, because with running the restaurant as well, it's pretty hectic. But I do really like to read Kathy Reichs, who is a forensic anthropologist, and her books actually came out before the series Bones, if you remember Bones, the series. So actually her books are what prompted the television program of the series Bones, which I loved, but it wasn't really quite as good as the books. Now, forensic anthropology is about studying bones of dead people to find out how they lived, how they died, you know. So
very far away from the Cheesecake series.
Absolutely it is, yes.
Trying to find a connection.
Yes, I know, it's so different. So it's not really what you would expect, but I absolutely love her books. They can be quite technical, but very interesting and something completely different to what I do in my normal life. So it's really good for me to sort of get into that and really start thinking about that. But in terms of sort of a more girly book, I really loved the book The Island by Victoria Hislop, and it's based on a true story about the island of the leprosy island just off the coast of Crete, it tells the story about the challenges and how they overcome things, families. So it's got quite a lot of subliminal messages there, but it's an absolutely beautiful book. So if anybody hasn't read it, then it is really good, a good holiday read, definitely.
Yes, holiday season coming up.
One of my favourites. and I have to say, I am a Harry Potter fan.
Okay, I have nothing to say about that simply because I haven't read a single paragraph of it, but that's okay.
Probably those are the last types of books you would have expected me to say, really, aren't they?
Yes. Well, you know, I mean, whatever rocks your boat, I would say at this point. All right. So, has a book ever made you cry?
Not that I remember, because I don't read those sort of books really. I am, excuse me, I am a very emotional person actually, and I'm a sympathetic crier. So if somebody's crying, I cry with them. So I try not to read the books that I think will make me cry.
Right.
So yeah, so not that I can remember, no.
Okay, all right, good. Have you ever made a cry from laughter though?
Oh yes, there's been some very funny ones that I've read along the way. Particularly ones that are based on true life experiences. And do you know what? I keep thinking to myself that one of these days I might actually write another book about some of the stupid comments that our customers actually make in the restaurant. That would be a really, really bestseller, I'm sure. And it would make people laugh, because some of the things that people say to you, you think, did they really ask me that question? I'll give you
that's
just
a great idea. Very unusual as well. Definitely.
Yeah,
Can you give us an example of a question?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. Well, we had somebody that came in and I was taking an order, and they said, the leek and potato soup, what's that like? And I said, well, I knew them, bearing in mind I knew them. And I said, well, you know, tomato soup? And they said, yes. I said, well, it's nothing like that.
Right.
And the most common thing that people ask us, because we have all English staff in the restaurant, we all speak Spanish, but we do have all English staff. We are predominantly English customers. And the most common question that people ask us is, do you live here? No, actually, commute on a plane from Manchester every day.
Just visiting.
And yeah, so just excuse me a minute. My husband's phone's just ringing. Sorry about that.
That's right.
Yeah, so that is the most stupidest question, and they genuinely don't think they've asked a stupid question. Do you live here? Yes. And the other thing is, do you like it? Excuse me, just one.
This is real life podcasting.
Yeah, how long have you lived here? Yes, we've actually lived here for 21 years. Oh, you like it then? No, we absolutely hate it, but we're just sticking with it.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's quite joyful. The question that I have in mind is, so as authors or aspiring authors, we have different reasons for writing books. It could be about our own experiences. It could be about something that is sitting inside us and we just need to write about it. It could be fiction, something that we just want to write about and we had this idea sitting in our head. So the question is, what was your true reason for writing the Cheesecake Chronicles?
I think because I have such a passion for making the desserts, and I really wanted to share that with my customers. My customers do love all the cheesecakes, all the desserts. You know, we are well known for our homemade desserts, and obviously my husband's beautiful food because he's the main chef. But yeah, I just felt I wanted to share that. So many customers over the years have asked me for recipes that I thought, why not put it all down in one book? And I was kind of inspired to do it. It started off as a little bit of a joke, to be honest, where so many people said, oh, you know, you should write a book, you should write a book. And I thought during the COVID, when we've actually been a bit quieter in the restaurant, I thought, well, why the hell not? Why shouldn't I write it? So I started it. So that was really the reason, just so that I can share what I do with the customers. And I suppose it's a bit of a legacy that when we're not running the restaurant anymore, they'll still have the recipe book and still be making the recipes that are in the book. We have customers from 21 years ago, and one of my very first cheesecakes was a white chocolate one, which is actually in the book, of course. And I still have customers coming in now saying, oh, do you remember when you gave me that white chocolate cheesecake recipe? It's the family's favorite. I have to make it every Christmas, or I have to do it every time they're over. Or so that's lovely. Such a sense of achievement for me, such a sense of satisfaction that I'm bringing somebody some joy, you know. To
That's
me,
nice.
anything chocolatey, anything that's desserts, brings me great joy. So I hope it does to them.
So when we look at creation of a book or a recipe book, of course, yes, there's a lot of fun included in that. So what was your most enjoyable thing during the creation process of the book? Would it be maybe the photography? Would it be just the cooking itself, the baking itself, etc.?
Yeah, I suppose I do get a buzz from making the actual cheesecakes, making the desserts. So yes, it was all of it. I think, you know, making up new desserts, trying them out, testing. Everybody keeps offering to be an official taster. I wonder why.
I don't know. I wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a queue.
Right.
So yeah, so everybody sort of then you know, I think that taking the photographs, staging them, that was quite difficult. To make any food item look good is very difficult. But I did do a little course on it and got quite a few good tips. I think it's much easier to take photographs on cold food than it is on actual hot food.
Right.
Yeah, there's an art to that. They use all sorts of strange things like shaving foam and dry ice and things like that, you know, but I wasn't getting that technical. When I started writing the book, I had a list of the recipes, and as I was going along, I thought, oh, yes, I've got that one, and yes, I've got that one. So that was the real joy part to me, to find that I had so much to share. There was so much in my head that I'd done over the years that I'd not realised, and it really, that was great. I loved it. I loved it all. So
nice. Yeah. So nice. I mean, when we look at photography of food and we look at the advertisement, for example, on the TV, most of the food that is on the table within the ad is actually not edible because it's all fake food.
I know.
The turkey that I see on the advertisement for in Christmas ads has nothing to do with the turkey that comes out from my oven. Let's put it this way.
No, exactly. The turkey that ends up on your plate is completely different. But they do say you do eat with your eyes, don't they? So, that's right, you know, what you see first off. That's right. You know, that's what makes you want to eat it. So
what I'm really curious about is, as we're on that height right now of emotions, is when your book went out and the button was pressed and you know it's live, you know that people can now purchase it. What was the feeling inside you?
I was so excited. And I had such a great sense of achievement that I'd actually done it. I mean, if somebody had said to me 5 years ago, oh, you're going to write a book and it's going to be really well received, I would never in a million years have believed them. And I think that nowadays, because it's so much easier to do self-publishing, it's so much easier to do Kindle, the Kindle versions yourself, you know, do them on Canva, do the ebooks yourself, that it would have been something I would have never dreamed about. But I was so excited. I still am excited. I'm every day when I get an inquiry for somebody who wants another copy, I get really excited about it. And I think I probably mentioned to you before, Agata, that, you know, I really thought that the Kindle version would be very popular, but I'd underestimated the age group of our customers in the restaurant, who are my target audience, really. And most of them are probably 55, 60 plus, and they still like a physical book. And with a recipe book, they want to be able to turn a page. You know, they can't quite get to grips with, you know, having it on their laptop or having it on their their Kindle or whatever, their tablet. They want to be able to turn a physical page. So I've ended up having to get it printed as well. And actually the printed version sales is outselling the Kindle version at the moment.
Well, I have another idea to top up your business here, Kim. You can create a book stand.
Yes.
which has the restaurant's logo on it, or Kim's cookbook logo on it.
Yes.
So they get a book and a book stand, because you want to have your book on a stand when you're cooking, right? It's uncomfortable when it's something flat. So there you go.
Yeah.
You know, 10%.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I have an old cast iron one that I've had for years, which I use in the kitchen. But yeah, something a little bit more eco-friendly,
nice,
and a little bit lighter about. Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
That's a good idea. I might look into that, Agata. Thank you for that idea.
You're more than welcome. There's a lot going on here, as many of you know. All right. So yes, we've got the highs, we've got the lows. So what was the most challenging bit about completing the project?
The tech to be honest. The tech was the challenge. I've taught myself such a lot over the last year, because obviously everything's gone onto the digital platform, and as you mentioned before, my background is marketing and sales, so obviously all those principles I've now had to adapt to the digital platform. So I've learned a lot, I've done lots of training, and I've taught myself a lot, but nevertheless it is still a challenge with the tech. And I'll be honest, when I started the ebook, I was on a real tight budget with it, because with the restaurant having been devastated business-wise with the COVID pandemic, I didn't have a lot of spare cash. So I needed to be able to produce it quickly and easily and on a budget. So I actually did it myself on Canva, which is, and that's not a promotion for Canva by any means, but it was a really good platform to use. But then to actually get it converted from there onto the Kindle, so that I could load it onto Kindle, onto the Amazon, it just took me about 2 weeks, and with the help of my husband, loading different things on the computer and one thing and another. And that was the frustration, that was the challenge, was the tech. And then obviously once I'd done that, and then I wanted the printed version, it was then making sure that what I had on Canva, I didn't have to restart again, and I could convert it to a situation where it could be printed. So it was all that took the time. But what I would say to anybody that's doing it is just keep at it, just keep going, because it will happen, it will come. And I think that initially I had hoped to get it launched at the beginning of September. Another month went by, and eventually it was all sorted by the beginning of November. So I think, you know, the message to everybody would be, don't beat yourself up, just keep with it, just be persistent, and it will come. But the tech is an issue. If, you know, if you're very tech minded, then for somebody who's tech minded, no, it's fine. But for me, I consider I don't have a problem with tech, but it just takes me a little bit longer.
And anything new essentially takes a little bit longer. So even if we are quite savvy with tech, it's because every company has different requirements, etc., etc. You just need to make sure that everything is in its right place, and that takes time. Sometimes we think we've got everything right, and then they come back to us and say, well, actually, no, because by our standards and by our measurements, so and so and so, and then you kind of have to go back to start from scratch. So when we write books, whatever the books are and whatever subjects they are, sometimes writers describe a situation of not being able to write as a writer's block. Did you experience anything like that?
There were times when I was sort of struggling about the format that I would use, but I probably didn't get a writer's block as such, because I wasn't writing a story. I was just really sort of, I think with a recipe book, it's a little bit different, because you kind of know the recipes you're going to cover. I think probably I struggled a little bit with sort of like the introduction, what to put in that. And obviously there's a sign off in the book, you know, where I've sort of signed off at the end and thank people for buying and that sort of stuff. So it took me a few days to try and make sure the wording on that was right. But I think if I was writing a story, or I think I probably would have experienced a writer's block, knowing what to say, when to say it, and you know, the language you're writing it in. I think that's all part of having a bit of a block, isn't it? But fortunately for in this case, no, I didn't have too much of a block. So yeah,
I suppose sometimes it's the need to walk away from a project just for a moment at least.
You do, you do.
To come
and
back
I think
with
that was the thing. Yeah, that was the thing when I was having trouble with the tech, is that I was at it. I was sat for like 2 days from 9 in the morning till about 9 at night to try and get things sorted out. And in the end, I just had to walk away from it, because I couldn't, my brain was on overload. I couldn't think about it anymore. And then when I went back fresh a few days later, it seemed a bit clearer. So I think that that's probably what you would do really with your block, is don't beat yourself up, just walk away from it and go back. Yeah.
It's okay to walk away for a bit, of course. If there was anything that you could tell your younger self, what would that be? It could be advice, it could be anything. Just kind of look at Kim back 10 years or 20 years ago. What could you tell her?
Yeah, I think it would be to continue looking at the positives of things, however dire the situation may seem, to keep going, don't give up. There is always a light at the end of the tunnel. You can't always see it, but it's always there. And if you have a passion for something, go for it.
Okay, yes. Do you think she would have listened?
No, I don't think so. I'm quite headstrong anyway, but I was very fiery and very much more headstrong in my younger years. So yeah, I probably would have thought, what are you talking about?
You keep going. Leave me alone. You've mentioned budget, you've mentioned tight budget because of obviously COVID, etc.
Yeah.
We all face it from time to time. We could be the richest people in the world. We still have to work on a budget here and there. However, what was the best money ever spent when it comes to this particular book, The Cheesecake Chronicles?
For this particular project, I think that the best thing I did was go on to Canva Pro.
Right.
And yeah, I think that that was one of the best things, because it saved me such a lot of time with resizing, making sure that I had the bleed margins and all that sort of stuff for the print. But I think that was one of the things that I thought was the best money that I spent on this particular project, because I was on a tighter budget. I think if I am honest, and I would be looking to write another book, if I thought that it was going to be a book that was going to need to be in print as well as on Amazon, then I would look to get some help from a publisher, because it's been such a long process. And I think that my time is better spent doing other things. And now that, finances are a little bit easier, I'm not saying they're easy by any means, because obviously we've all got a long way back, but I think that sometimes you have to spend the money to make it better for yourself, and not spending the money sometimes holds you back, and sometimes gives you more of a problem, because of the time it's taking you to do things. So we're all in that situation really, where we need to pay experts sometimes, and we have to invest that money. So that would probably be something that I would definitely consider for the future. So I know you're using a publisher, aren't you?
No, actually, I've become my own publisher, which is
right.
a journey and
I
a
do
half.
know a friend of mine's actually published a couple of children's books, and she's got a really good publisher. So I think I would probably reach out if I write another book. I think I would probably reach out to that and use that option.
The silver lining.
Start off. If you're starting off on an initial project and you want to just sort of test the water, then yes, do it yourself by all means. But next time, I think I would look at that.
I think the silver lining of the journey that you have gone through is that you now understand it. So you know what it takes to have a book out. You know about margins, you know about bleeds, you know about those things.
Yeah.
So therefore, if a publisher asks you for anything, you'll be able to provide the answer, or you'll be able to converse with them on a level which essentially has knowledge in it, right? Rather than, I don't know, well, you do it. I have no idea. I don't like to be in that position myself, so I presume that you wouldn't like to be in that position either. So that's a positive of going through that journey and understanding and learning our skill. What would be the advice that you could give to aspiring authors? Let me say that again. What would be your advice you could give to aspiring authors? Would it be to go with a publisher, or would it be anything else?
I think in the initial stages, try and do publishing yourself. I've got two friends who do write books, both write children's books actually, and one of them always self-publishes, but she's been doing it for a number of years and she is very good at it and very successful. The the other friend I have has just launched her second book, so she's only been doing it for about a couple of years. She's actually using a publisher. She finds that better for her. But again, I think if you are on a tight budget, it is possible to do something for yourself. Just be prepared to have to wait a bit longer for certain stages, because it does take you time to understand the process. Don't give up. If you have a passion for something and you want to write, put that pen to paper and just do it. I think that's it. You know, if you've got a passion for a subject, just keep going, keep writing. Don't get put off by the first hurdle that you fall at. Just keep going, and just be prepared to take a little bit of time on each of the processes. You know, it is a learning curve for everybody.
I suppose it gets a little bit easier with every book we write.
Yes. Yeah, I certainly have learned things from this one that I think next time I won't do it like that, or I won't do that, I'll do this. And yeah, so, but however, I'm sure that when I get to write a second one, I'll probably make some mistakes again along the way and kick myself and think, oh gosh, you know, you should have done that. But
that's bound to happen.
That's life, isn't it?
Absolutely. Kim, how can people find you? How can people find the Cheesecake Chronicles?
Okay, well, I do have a website, and there's a link on there. I do have a Facebook page under Kim's Creativity Corner, which is me personally, and also a Facebook page for the restaurant Casa Cabana, where I'm obviously promoting it. There is a link for Kindle as well. So if I let you have the links, Agata, perhaps we can just put those links in the description, in the comments with this podcast, and then people can find me that way. Obviously the link to Amazon will take them straight to the page where the Cheesecake Chronicle is. If they do want a printed copy, then I have got a distributor in the UK, even though I'm obviously in Lanzarote in Spain. So I have a distributor in the UK who at the moment can send out to the UK and to Ireland, and I'm sure if there's anyone anywhere else in the world, we can get a copy to them, so no problem with that.
That's great. Kim, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. I know I caught you in your car today. I know it's been a little bit unpredictable, but this has been a pleasure, and I hope that people will find this podcast very useful and enjoyable as well. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you so much for inviting me to come on as well, Agata. It's been great for me and a pleasure for me too. I'm sorry about the hiccup. It's a definite Monday morning today, which is why I'm in my car.
It's okay. It's all good.
We overcame.
Yes, of course. Thank you. All the best.